All right, so a lot of you asked for this one. I've kind of, sort of, somewhat heard this. I think maybe I'm not sure exactly, but I appreciate y'all bringing it to my attention directly because I might have heard it peripherally, like I do a lot of other stuff. Um, but hearing it directly might be something else. So that being said, grab your alcoholism by the shoulder and assure them that everything's going to be okay. And make sure that you look in the description box. Make sure you click things below the video. Enjoy the channel if you feel so inclined, because the more of you that join, the better. That being said, I hear that Five Finger Death Punch is like the ultimate, like, military, like, USA band. So we're about to see, aren't we? That being said, uh, quite a few of those of us that have served are not in the most fortunate circumstances that I am. Actually, a large chunk of them are not. There's so many homeless vets that it's ridiculous. It's almost as if nobody cares. Almost. That being said, excuse me. That being said, way too many of us that have given huge portions of our lives to everybody else in our countries, only to get essentially nothing in return. It's kind of hard not to feel as though, how do I put this? It's excruciatingly difficult not to feel as though we're on the wrong side of heaven. Five Finger Death Punch. Wrong side of heaven. This is a pretty long one. Let's see what we're getting into, huh? Let's go. The ones that love you the most are the ones willing to fight for you. If you're watching this, there are 300,000 homeless veterans sleeping on the streets. And this number is rising. Over 4 million veterans are at risk of becoming homeless. More than 67% of homeless veterans say they're looking for at least 3 years. They gave everything. Yet we are failing them. And yet we are. We're severely failing them. I was homeless 3 times, My first divorce, in between my first divorce and losing a lot of things. I literally had to lie. I had to lie to not get the boot so I could volunteer for more missions. I had to set up PO boxes and everything. I had to live out of my car for years after my first divorce. Living off of what I could get out of dumpsters and what I could sometimes get from a food kitchen or two whenever I was able to encounter them. I'm so happy that I didn't have my son at that time. I'm so happy. Because I would not have wanted to subject him to that. I'm not going to lie. It brings forward some very bitter memories. And to pay down all the debt that I was settled with, because, well, when you get divorced as a man, you're getting the shit end of the stick every single time. unless you have enough money to convince them to do otherwise. But I had to live out in my car for years, for freaking years, or live out of the barracks rooms of some guys that were also NCOs, and not say, they wouldn't say a word to anybody because they knew what that meant. Done my laundry at the barracks. Carrying my laundry with me inside of the trunk of my car. Reason why I'm bringing this up is because this immediately strikes me. It reminds me of what I've been through. And I'm not even getting into the freaking song yet. But I had to lie. I had to pretend like everything was okay. Because back then there was no resources for active duty. What they would do is that, if they found out you got divorced, they put you in the barracks room, right? They'd officially put you in a barracks room, paperwork and everything, right? But then you'd lose a third of your pay. You wouldn't be able to pay down debts that way. In fact, you wouldn't be able to pay shit. You'd just be paying for the barracks and food. And so I had to be deceitful to keep the amount of money I was making just to pay freaking all the debt down. And I had to volunteer for so much shit for around, I want to say 6 years straight. I was technically homeless for 6 years straight. And when the one time that leadership, was like, hey, can we come to your place? I was able to defer them, thankfully. I was like, actually, let's go to let's go to somebody else's house because this is bigger. So we'll arrange it there. I had to pretend like everything was okay. I had to. Otherwise, I would not have been able to make it up to this far. I wouldn't have. I had a car, maybe 10 changes of clothing that were not uniforms or related to my uniform. I would take showers in gyms, or sometimes I'd find a creek or a runoff. Or I would ask people, hey, can I fill up a tub of water, from your faucet? It's one of the more shameful times in my life. Very shameful. And yeah, I know, okay? I know. It wasn't what I did wrong. It wasn't in my hands. I know. But it's still shameful. I can't help but feel ashamed. That I had gotten to that point. Even though, my first divorce, damn near killed me. Even though I know it wasn't my fault, right? I came home and one day just everything was hell. A living hell. I know. I'm just trying to get this out of the way, okay? I'm just trying to get it out of the way. Before I even get into the song. And yeah, I might be a little drunk, okay? Whatever. I'm not working today, so I can be drunk. But I'll tell you what, there's no feeling like not being able to pay what you owe. What you owe. Whether or not it's right or wrong, it's if you're unable to pay some bills, it fucking hurts. At that point in my life, I had already given up, you know, a huge amount of time in my life to the entire country. But everywhere I looked, there was no help. There was no help, none whatsoever. The soldier funds didn't exist back then. The soldier relief acts didn't exist back then. And the only way that they would be able to alleviate anything was take away the huge amount of money you depended on to pay down your debt, thus extending the amount of time you'd have to pay that debt by a huge margin. And so I volunteered for everything I could. Every mission, every deployment, every training, every class, everything. And I even worked part-time a couple of times at places like GameStop, basically being their custodian for cash, right? I worked at GameStop. I walked in and I was like, "Hey, I'm looking for work, and I will work for any pay. I'll do all the hours I can. In fact, I'll work throughout the night if you need me to." I had no idea. And the employees were like, "Well, hey man, like, well, we're sorry, but we have no openings." And I was like, "Okay, can I work for food?" And thankfully, their manager was a former vet, and he was like, "Hey, dude, actually, we can help you out. All right, we need someone to clean up the place. We need somebody to clean stuff up. Uh, take out trash. Sweep, vacuum, clean up the bathroom. You can be our custodian." And I was like, "Okay, where do I sign?" And he was like, "Look, man, we'll just pay you. Okay, we'll just pay you. Don't worry about paper." That was one of the saving graces of my life. Was working for them, and it was only for like a year. Uh, I didn't work for them directly. I didn't work for GameStop officially. I didn't. But what they would do is that they give me cash, right? And a few times they'd be like, "Hey, like some of us weren't able to get lunch, so we're gonna send you to get lunch. Um, Go to this place. Here's the list. All right." You were still writing stuff down on paper back then. And I was able to pay it forward some years later. I did, right? For the first time in a long time. You know, a few years later, when I was somewhat on my feet, I came back, right? And what I did was I bought a console, and I bought a game. I bought a couple of controllers, and I bought a refurbished TV. That was my thank you. And I left positive reviews. I took their cards. I spread them throughout the whole freaking base I was at the time. I was like, these are good people. These are good people that'll take care of you for your gaming needs and everything. But yeah. I was I was actually homeless. Um, you know, I used like one of those cheapy Bic razors for like 6 months straight. So I got a lot of razor burn. But leadership didn't care as long as I was making the effort, right? And I obviously didn't let them know that I was suffering. I couldn't because I wouldn't be able to afford to. But they changed my life in a huge degree. Them and quite a few others that, you know, I've reached out to, and they won't let me. They won't let me say who they were, right? Because that's how they operate. God damn, I've ranted way too long over on this. And Badger's is a bit drunk, okay? So, whatever, ignore me. Pretend like I'm not saying anything. But a lot of soldiers are going to find it shocking that for my second PCS ever in my existence, GameStop were the ones who were paying me to make sure it happened. Like, how fucking sad is that? How sad is that? Nowadays, though, there's a lot more programs, right? There's a lot more programs, but it's still really hard for a lot of guys. I'm in a much better place now because of those GameStop employees who took pity on some much younger man who was going through a hard time in life. They didn't even know I was a soldier, by the way. I didn't let any of them know. There was no way I could do it. But they changed my life. They really did. So anyway, I'll stop ranting. I'll stop being a drunk old, dumbass. Let's get on with the song, shall we? Oh shit, there's light coming through the freaking... Okay, I better block that light. Give me a sec. Oh, that didn't do it. That kind of did it. Will that work better? Where is this one? This light's over here. Damn it. I need something longer for this. Now it's over here. God freaking. Okay, so I'm going to put this up there. See if it works. Good enough. All right, I apologize, everyone, but I'm not gonna delete this. I'm not gonna delete this. I'll just leave it in the video. But yeah, those of y'all who know, you know. All right, you know. We're not even in the song yet, and I've already made this way too long. If anybody watches it, thank you very much. I appreciate you. I love you. Okay. Let's keep going, shall we?
Spoke to God today, and she said that she's ashamed. What have I become? What have I done? I spoke to the devil today, and he swears he's not to blame. And I understood, 'cause I feel the same. Arms wide open, I stand alone. I'm no hero, and I'm not made of stone. Right or wrong, I can hardly care. I'm on the wrong side of heaven, and the righteous side of hell. The wrong side of heaven, and the righteous side of hell.
Oh man, I remember them uniforms. I remember them. The DCUs. That's what everybody's wearing right here is DCUs basically, and then they have like the vest that's actually BDU. That's actually BDU. Okay, I'll stop. I've already interfered way too long in the video. Let's keep going.
I can hardly care. I'm on the wrong side of heaven, and the righteous side of hell. The wrong side of heaven, and the righteous side of hell.
funny because that's the amount of time I was on the streets. How much vets spend an average 6 years on the streets? Yeah. Yeah. That's how long it took me to like finally get to a place where I could save up some money to get a freaking to live in somebody else's freaking house. How freaking sad is that? How pathetic am I that that's like, man. Let's keep going.
I'm not defending, downward descending, falling further and further away, getting closer every day. I'm getting closer every day to the end. Closer every day. Arms wide open, I stand alone. I'm no hero, and I'm not made of stone. Right or wrong, I can hardly tell. I'm on the wrong side of heaven and the righteous side of hell. The wrong side of heaven and the righteous side of hell. The wrong side of heaven and the righteous side of hell.
Boot campaign. They can only do so much, y'all. American Ex-Prisoners of War, American Forces Network, AGWVA, American Legion, AVER, BVA, CD, COS, DAV, HH, Hardestry. They can all only do so much. They can only do so much. But I do encourage y'all to reach out to them. Reach out to them, see how you can help. While they're all appreciated, they're not enough. They're not enough. I'm not talking about for me. All right. I'm too deeply dug into. I gotta do this myself. I'm way too dug into it. I think back in the time when this came out, a lot of these were a lot more active. Although, stay away from the Wounded Warrior Project. Stay away from them. Stay away from them. They've scammed way too many vets, families, and friends, and communities. Way too many. Or at least the last I heard. This is a while ago. But they're not enough. They're nowhere near enough. And unfortunately, not enough people care. And not enough people appreciate nowadays. I mean, look at it. Wokeism, all this other modern stuff, like, we provide them with the safety and security to do what it is they want to do. And this is how they treat us because of it. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm rambling. I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. I'm rambling. I shouldn't be. But I know for a fact I'm not the only one that feels this way. There's a consistent, recurring, and concurrent trend upwards of ingratitude. And, well, we can't change how people feel. Too bad, so sad. All right, enough of the pity party. Enough of the pity party. There we go, folks. There we go. 5-finger death punch. Wrong side of heaven. You'll ask for it. I give it to you. You're welcome. Okay. I need to regain my composure, actually. All right. All right. So, yeah. There you go. I'm not going to add nothing else to this. I'm really not. You're welcome. You asked for it nicely. You got me to do it, and it's facts. Wrong side of heaven, indeed. We're the ones who are, the gate guardians to heaven. We don't get to experience heaven directly, or at least very few of us do. No matter what else we have done to ensure that heaven stays a heaven, or close to it as we can manage. So, yeah. Look, I'm done. I'm done with that. I'm done. Okay, we're going to move on from this. Yeah, be good, be safe, make good life for yourselves. Description box, there's stuff in there. Underneath the video, there's stuff there too. So, yeah. I'll see y'all in the next one. Badger out.